Right, so today we'll be starting off with the next transport mechanism, which is active transport. So we were done with diffusion and osmosis, where we ended on incipient plasmolysis. So now we're starting with active transport. Now, what active transport is it's the opposite of diffusion. So it's the movement of substances from one region to another. However, this movement is from a lower concentration to a higher concentration. So movement of substances like ions, molecules, etc., from a lower concentration to a higher concentration. And because it's from lower to higher, it's against the concentration gradient, right? Because we were first it was down the concentration gradient when it's in diffusion. However, when it's the opposite, it's against the concentration gradient. So a few examples of active transport in our bodies are given right here. So for example, absorption of glucose and amino acids in the intestinals by the intestinal cells, that we've learned, villi, microvilli, all through that the active transport takes place. And the second is in plants, where we've learned about absorption of mineral ions by root hair cells. So water in the root hair cells travels by osmosis, and the mineral ions in the root hair in the soil travel through active transport, right? Transport. So previously we've studied how active transport actually takes place. So it takes place across the cell membrane using proteins, which are carrier proteins named as pump. So those carrier proteins, they have a specific binding site for some substance, for example, say glucose or amino acids, whichever one wants to travel inside the cell. And the second binding site is an ATP binding site on the bottom side of the carrier protein, where an ATP molecule gets hydrolyzed and provides energy for the conformational change to move this particular substance across against the gradient. For example, if this is a pump, right here, this is a pump, right? So you'll have this ATP binding site right here, and there will be a glucose binding site, for example, right here, and an ATP binding site. So this ATP molecule will get hydrolyzed, providing energy for the conformational change, which will bring the glucose molecule inside through the means, right? Even though if the glucose is lesser in quantity outside, active transport using the ATP molecule will bring it inside. So we move a particular substance through this. So ATP hydrolyzes to ADP and pi, right? So let me just state that right here. ATP hydrolyzes to ADP plus pi, and the energy released when this is hydrolyzed, that energy is used to perform the conformational change. So the next heading we have to move towards is the importance of NAK pumps. So these are pumps which are present in the cell membrane. So what their role is, they play in maintaining a higher concentration. So what these pumps do is they play an important role in maintaining a higher concentration of sodium ions outside the cell, and also a comparatively higher concentration of potassium ions within the cell, and we'll see how they do that. Alongside that, due to this unequal transport of Na plus and K ions by these pumps, so for example 3 Na go out of the cell and 2 potassium ions come in the cell. So because 3 are going out, there is a continuous net loss of positive ions to the outside, due to which the potential inside the cell membrane becomes negative. So that we'll see here. So for example, you see Na plus and K. So for example, there's 3 Na going outside the cell and 2 K coming inside the cell. So 2 coming inside, 3 going outside. So there's a -1 impact, right? So the potential of the inside membrane becomes negative, as I've shown right here throughout, and the outside part becomes positive. And these acts play an important role in the nerve impulse transmission. So I'll show you right here. For example, this is a protein, a pump protein, which helps to use active transport to carry out this mechanism. So for example, 2 potassium ions come inside the cell and 3 sodium ions going outside the cell in one go, using an ATP molecule, using the energy when it's hydrolyzed to ADP and pi. So this is how it happens, and this is what is known as the counter transport mechanism. So I'll just repeat whatever we've studied today. We've just reiterated the fact of active transport acting throughout the cells. So we started off with active transport and how it's the movement of substances from a lower concentration to a higher concentration, and it's against the concentration gradient. So one thing I'd like to mention is that this is an active process, right? So it requires energy, unlike diffusion, which is active because it's active transport. However, diffusion that we've studied earlier, that's a passive process that doesn't require energy. It happens on its own. So we stated some examples such as glucose by intestinal cells, absorption of mineral ions by root hair cells. Then we went on to discuss how they take place using carrier proteins, where pumps use an ATP binding site and ATP gets hydrolyzed to ADP and pi, and the energy provided is for the conformational change to occur. The importance of NAK pumps is discussed. So this pump right here, I'll just mention it right here, right? So this pump, there is a K channel as well. There is a sodium channel as well. However, this channel right here that we see, this is a sodium potassium channel. So 3 are going out, 2 are coming in, and the transport here is taking place on its own, but right here the transport is taking place together of both the ions, right? So there is a net loss of positive ions to the outside, so the internal membrane becomes negative and the external membrane becomes positive, and this is important in a nerve impulse transmission, and this is known as a counter transport mechanism.